What's up, dudes? I wanted to talk a little bit about the best type of diet for when you're having a spiritual awakening. Because what I see a lot of people doing is discovering what works for them and then going and putting it out there as if that is the ideal diet for everybody. A lot of people talk about eating, high vibrational foods, or the vegetarian diet, or the paleo diet, or eat clean, or eat raw, always organic, all these different things. And having been going through this awakening myself, I can honestly say that I've cycled through so many different types of drastically different diets, and they all had their place. They were all appropriate for the time. But because the nature of the awakening process is so dynamic, there is no such right diet for everybody. It doesn't matter. There were times where I felt drawn to give up all animal products, and it just kind of happened over time. I just started to get kind of disgusted with the idea of eating red meat, and it just kind of grossed me out. It tasted funny, so I stopped eating that just very naturally. And then I started to have that same experience with chicken, and then fish, and then I ended up going down the line, plucking off all these foods to where I ended up eating a 100% raw vegan diet. And I was like, yes, I finally found it. I'm eating all these high vibration foods. I must be ascending. Everything's going fantastic. And then all of a sudden, I started to get sick all the time and feel extremely fatigued. And I lost so much weight. I'm you see me now. I was 40 pounds less than this. People were worried about me. But I was so stubborn and insistent upon these notions that one must eat a lighter diet of high vibrational foods in order to ascend and become awakened and whatnot. And my body I eventually couldn't ignore the symptoms of my body. I started to actually crave meat again. I remember one time I was in my apartment, and I was reading this P90X book, P90, I'm sure you know what that is, P90X workout videos. And they have a diet book, and I was reading through it, and they had this recipe for this cocoa something or other steak salad. And I just remember looking at that steak, and for the first time in about a year, I wanted that steak. I was like, man, that sounds good. And again, prior to that, I was strongly and obviously repelled by any idea of eating meat. But it was in that moment that I knew. I started to get that real, genuine excitement and kind of guidance to go for it. And I felt better. And since then, I've cycled back and forth through many different types of diets. There's times where I really feel guided to eat very clean. And I think those are times when we are processing a lot, the energies are intensifying very quickly. This planetary evolution we're going through, there's times where it's a high energy, and our bodies are struggling to kind of adapt to it. And I find in those times, lighter foods are better. But then there's usually a grounding phase where the energies settle, and we go through where we kind of ground all of these higher vibrational frequencies into our being. And then it's appropriate, at least in my life and experience, to go and eat heavier food. Sometimes I'll feel inspired to order pizza and shit like that. And then I eat it, and I actually feel good. It did something to me that I needed. So the best advice I have for you is to become in tune with your body, to really start to just listen and acknowledge it, and also know how to discern between what is craving that you created through junk food. Because if you eat a bunch of donuts and you make a habit out of that, you're gonna want donuts all the fucking time. It's not because you need the donuts, because you've created the pattern of eating sugary ass foods. That takes a little bit of practice, and just really asking yourself after a particular meal, how do I feel? Do I feel energized? Do I feel clear-headed? Do I feel strong? Am I crashing 20 minutes later? Am I irritable? Do I feel kind of fuzzy? There's a lot of different symptoms, and just being aware. And it's really as simple as that. But again, you must clear your signal. You must clear your the pathway between where your body communicates with your mind, which is by, in general, eliminating an excessive amount of shitty foods, and you all know what those are, okay? Because when you eat anything like that in excess, that distorts the signal. But with that said, you don't have to shun all that away. So don't listen to anybody on this fucking YouTube or the internet that says you have to eat vibrational foods, you have to eat vegan. You know, I've been a personal trainer for over 10 years. I've worked with thousands of people, and I can tell you this quite honestly, that what works brilliantly for one person, it could be potentially disastrous for another person. I've had many clients that have just thrived off of like a pure vegan lifestyle for many, many years. There's vegan like big bodybuilders that are jacked. There's vegan professional mixed martial artists, and yet some people will look like they're good on the verge of death if you put them on a vegan diet for a week. There's people that thrive on real heavy meats. And what do you think about the people in like Antarctica? You're gonna put them on a vegan diet? No, they're evolved people. Their ancestors ate fatty ass fish as like a huge percentage of their diet. So you just have to honor your body, honor your own unique DNA. Don't listen to other people. Listen to yourself. Listen to your body, and don't hold on to whatever is working out, because it's likely going to change. I will guarantee it's going to change, because through this process, it's so dynamic and so ever-changing and evolving. There is no real state of balance at any time during this awakening process. You just got to be fluid and just go with the flow, okay? So I just wanted to kind of point that out, because there's a lot of people out there, man, like touting their diet philosophy down everyone's throat, because their own individual experience, 1 out of 7 billion people has a specific reaction to a certain diet, therefore gives them the platform to preach it to everybody else with authority. That's nonsense, okay? Listen to your own self. Listen to your guidance. Peace.